All right. And hello again, Doug.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. And George is backstage. So I'm gonna drop myself out. I'm gonna bring George on, and I will be pulling the strings backstage like a puppet master.
Throw as much up as you can.
I will.
Okay.
And there we have
Hey,
George
yeah.
Chakiris.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you
Good.
for coming back and spending this time with us.
Well, I'm glad it worked out. I messed it up a little bit earlier because I wasn't used to this format, but now I am, so it's good.
Great. And I feel like I'm talking to a contemporary, all these blasted kids around, but
Yeah.
I feel so good
Yeah.
talking to you.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thanks.
before we get into a lot of the stories and a lot of the questions, and please, if you're watching, send these questions in. That I'm sure many of you have. I've got a list of things myself, but I do want to mention it was about a year ago, I believe, that Mr. Chakiris published a book
Oh,
called
okay.
My West Side Story.
Of all things.
Were you approached to do this book, or is this something that you had on your mind for a while?
Well, no, I was approached. I worked with a wonderful writer whose name is Lindsay Harrison, and Lindsay has done books with other people, Tippi Hedren among them, and Tippy's a friend. So it kind of that's how it kind of started. And Lindsay thought it might be a nice idea, and I don't remember how we moved forward, but we found a publisher and so on. So eventually we did get down to doing it, but so I wasn't seeking it. It kind of it's kind of a two-way street, if you like, just through basically through Lindsay and through Tippy as well to the idea to do it, and then the means of doing it as well.
That's great. Speaking of West Side Story, that's where most of us were
Yeah,
introduced to you.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but a lot of people don't know. First of all, you graduated from the American School of Dance. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yes.
What
Well,
year was that?
that's where I took my first ballet class at that school. So yeah, that was my first professional endeavor. Yeah.
What year was that? Or what
Wow,
period of
it
time?
was a lot. I think it was about 1951. I took my first class when I was 19, so I can't do the math on that, but I think that's more or less right. Um, and I studied that school for a while and continued to study. I've studied all my life once I started, but it was through that school that I got my first jobs as a chorus dancer in different movies, and that was great. Loved all of that, and but that was my first professional experience. Yeah.
Oh, and a lot of people might not know that some of your earliest dancing work,
Yeah.
one was with Marilyn Monroe in
Yeah.
Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, that was one of my jobs as a chorus dancer. I was one of the guys behind Marilyn in that incredible number. It really is a great number, choreographed by Jack Cole, who was her favorite choreographer. She always wanted Jack for everything, and I never spoke to her. Of course, we were just there with her, rehearsing, and then ultimately it took 3 days to shoot that number,
Wow.
and you don't think in retrospect, one of the things I've noticed about, at least I think I've noticed about her and always really liked was when we were filming that, if that's a cut for any reason and stop a shot, she didn't look in the mirror. She didn't go to she went right back to her starting position and start again. And that's how concentrated and devoted she was to her work. And
And
I've always,
professional.
yes, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. She was. I was around her other times as well, and the other thing I noticed that she was always very quiet, and didn't draw attention to herself. She was quiet. And I liked her. I didn't know her, of course, but I really admired that about her, as well as who she is on the
Oh
screen.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you also danced with, I believe, George Clooney's aunt, Rosemary Clooney, at
Right,
one point.
yes, yes. George Clooney's aunt, she was great. The Clooney family, they're a good family. I don't know George at all, but Rosie was just, everybody loved Rosie. You know, she was just so wonderful to be around as well. Beautiful voice, beautiful presence. Everything about her was lovely. She was really a lovely human being, and a great talent as well. A wonderful singer, but
Oh,
just a great person. That's what I noticed more than anything, you know. Yeah.
and from what I've read and heard, what you saw of her was the real her. That she just had this almost sunshine pouring out of her. That she was just a wonderful person. That, I mean, she
Yeah.
would brighten your day just being in the room with her.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And by the way, on White Christmas, the Rosie and Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, and Vera Ellen, the four stars, uh, they all really, really, really liked each other and had a great time working together. And I think that speaks to who they were as people. And
Yeah.
again, but Rosie being this beautifully, you know, some while after that, the Society of Singers gave Rosie a special award, which I attended, and I took. There was a program, and I took out a page in the program because I love Rosie. I couldn't not do it. But you're right. She was. The person you saw on the screen was the person you would meet in person as well.
Oh.
She was bright, sunny, friendly, nice, not pretentious, just authentic, as they say. She was great.
During that time in your career, did you consider yourself a dancer who acted, or an actor who danced, or did you have desire to have lines to be an actor?
Well, you know, the differential between singing, dancing, and I never thought of that. I think, I guess, it wasn't a conscious thing. I just assumed with time I would hopefully do more. That was my first introduction to the business, was as a dancer, and it was a great introduction too. I had worked as a voice soprano in a couple of different choirs, so I felt comfortable singing even at that age as well, and I've eventually, you know, did much more as a singer, so I never tried to pigeonhole myself, so to speak, in any one way or the other. I just thought we all did it all, you know. Yeah.
Well, we have to talk about West Side Story.
Yeah.
Beyond the book, and you have the distinction of having been both a shark and a jet.
Right. Yeah.
You were in
Yeah.
London, I believe. You were on stage with it and played
Yes.
on the other side.
Yeah, yes, I played Riff in the London company. Cheetah Rivera, who originated the role of Anita, was in that production as well. She's a great friend. She still is. Yes, so my first audition for the London company, they asked me, the stage manager at that time asked me, thought I should read for Bernardo. So I did, and for Jerry Robbins, and then Jerry asked me to look at the role of Riff, and eventually I was cast as Riff in the London company, and I loved it. I mean, West Side Story is such a great experience for anybody who ever is associated with it in any way. It's a beautiful show, and all the kids that I've known over the years who've been involved in different productions of it really just really love doing it, and they put their heart and soul into doing it as well. But yeah, I did. I got to play Riff, the leader of the Jets in London, for a year and a half, and then the film. We started hearing rumors about the movie. None of us ever thought we'd ever go near it, of course, but eventually, I and four other kids in the London company got letters from United Artists saying that they were going to test us for the film, and my letter asked me to pick a scene as Riff and a scene as Bernardo, which I did, and then after they saw those tests, it took a while. It took some weeks before we heard from them again. We thought, we didn't hear right away, so I thought that was that. But one night before getting over for the show in London, Jerry Robbins called me and he said, "We liked your test, but we'd like to test you further. And could you get a week's leave of absence to come to LA?" And so I, of course, did that. And in that week, they tested me as Bernardo. And then I was back and forth between the movie and the play. So after these different experiences, I always went back into the show playing Riff. So after testing this time as the second time as Bernardo, the test directed by Jerome Robbins, went back into the show again playing Riff, and some weeks went by before I heard anything. And after about maybe 10 or 12 weeks, something like that, one day there was a telegram telling me that I was being cast as Bernardo in the film. So it was, just great times.
Oh yeah, and decades before, Clint Eastwood did sort of the same thing with Jersey Boys. He made a point of auditioning and hiring people who had played those roles on stage before and brought them in, technically unknowns, but just having, there's a story that Clint Eastwood is huge on rehearsal time, rehearse over and over and over. And he was sitting with one of the primaries of the Jersey Boys, sitting while they were setting up a shot. And he said, "How many times have you done this scene?" He said, "Oh, total, probably about 5,000. He went, "That's enough rehearsal. We can go ahead and shoot this now."
Well, I'll tell you, when I think about it, and you make me think about it. The wonderful thing about having been in the stage production for a year and a half, and ultimately more, was you became, it was a rehearsal because you become so familiar with the piece and every part in it that it's part of your system, and it's a great help moving forward. And it was really advantageous to have been in the stage production and then working on the movie, because the stage production was rehearsal. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And West Side Story brought you both an Academy Award and a Golden Globe, I believe, wasn't it? Oh, have we frozen? Have we locked up? We got a little lag time, maybe. We'll give it a moment.
Okay. I can hear. Okay.
There we are. Oh, technology. Am I right? Am I right? But congratulations on the Academy Award. That had to be a huge thrill. Hearing your name read.
It was a huge thrill. And Rita Moreno and I attended the awards together, and the car came and got me first, and then we went to her place. I'm practicing my loser's face. I remember that line, but it was a fantastic evening because we both got lucky. We went together, and it was a beautiful evening, obviously, because it would have been very different if just one of us had been fortunate, because we both were, and both friends, and we spent the evening together. It was awesome, just awesome. Absolutely, yeah.
Do you have any insights or thoughts or feelings about the newly remade West Side Story that Steven Spielberg made?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it yet, but I've always thought, come on, Steven Spielberg, he's going to do something terrific. That's what we would expect, and I'm sure that's what he's done. No question in my mind, because of his background,
Oh,
everything
yeah.
we know about him. I don't think any of us would expect anything less, and I'm sure he's accomplished that. I'm really looking forward to seeing it, but it's, it's funny how things happen. But I just haven't gotten there yet. Yeah.
We had a question earlier show up on the screen about some of your 70s and 80s television work. Someone asked about Wonder Woman.
Oh, Wonder, yes, yeah. I'll tell you what, right away, what I see is Linda Carter, so amazingly beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Whether she's in the Wonder Woman costume or not, and also what a lovely person she was. She, it was her show, and she really welcomed the guest. She behaved so beautifully with everyone. She, again, she was a real. Someone who looks like her, you think they're going to be a bit, I don't know, difficult or something. She was not. She was generous and kind, and really great to work with. And it was a good experience, opportunity for her as well. But yeah, during Wonder Woman was one of quite a few television experiences that I and so many people of this business took part in those days, because television was an important aspect of people seeing you or not seeing you. And so television was important, and Wonder Woman was an important show. Everybody wanted to be on Wonder Woman because it was a great show and had a great audience. But she was the thing that I remember, again, when you mentioned Wonder Woman, I just automatically saw her in that costume and how beautiful she is. Yeah.
Well, and another show that was a guilty pleasure of mine. What brought you to Dallas?
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you. That's a great show. I was hired to just do one episode, and I ended up doing, I think it was 11. So it was not a major role, but it was a good one. And Barbara Carrera, wow, another gorgeous woman. Barbara Carrera was the guest villainess of that series, of that time. And
they had a few of them.
I'm sorry?
They had a few of those.
Yeah, right. I guess we're used to, she was, wow. And just mentioning Barbara, and by the way, she was great to work with too. She was funny. I don't know why, when someone looks like that, I don't know what we expect of them, but it's always a surprise when they're when they're more than beautiful. And she, of course, certainly was, yeah, she was wonderful actress, professional, just really, and by the way, that entire series was so beautifully produced. Everybody on that set was relaxed and happy to be where they were because it was so well operated. It was a great show to be part of. Yeah.
Now, me being grounded in science fiction, fantasy, superheroes, seeing you from, I think it was both the first and second seasons of Superboy, The Adventures of...
Oh my God, I forgot that. Right. Yeah. Oh my God, I was on Superboy too. I forgot. One of the great things about being able to talk to you, it reminds me of so many nice things, Yeah, and that series was produced by the Salkins, who had done the Superman movie. I think that's right, and and it was photographed in Florida.
Right.
So a little bit of a plane flight involved, but that's another one where I started out with a couple of episodes and ended up doing a dozen or so. But it was it's nice to go back and do more than one episode in a series, because you get to know people and you get to like people, and people end up it ends up being kind of a family, and so that was a really nice experience as well. The Salkins were great to work for as well. Yeah.
I've been able to speak. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to speak with another. Several different actors from the TV series Supernatural, who have all said pretty much what you have said over two different series now. They thought they were hired to do a one and done. They were just going to come in, do the one episode, and move on to something else, and ended up being called back again and again. You were Professor Peterson.
Professor Peterson, right? Yeah.
So you had the opportunity to work with both John Haymes Newton and Gerard Christopher? Did you is there something you can tell us about the and the TV series changed pretty dramatically between the first and second seasons? So do you have memories, recollections of the differences between season 1, season 2, the differences between the two actors?
To be honest, I don't. So the Christopher was that I worked with, I think. What season was he part of? I'm not up on that. So I can't differentiate between the seasons. But what I can say is, again, and by the way, that young man who played Superman was, it's just such a pleasure to run across somebody that young, who's as good as they are and as committed as they are, and takes their work really seriously, and that's what I remember about him. Because but I couldn't differentiate between the seasons. I don't remember that part of it that well, but I do remember, again, like Dallas, what a beautiful, when something is well run, everybody has a better time, because there's not confusion, there's not distraction, there's nothing that gets in the way. It's just the work, and then everybody, no matter what their part is, whether you're in wardrobe or part of the photographic team, everybody is in on that ride, having a good time with what they're doing. So it's all good. It's all good.
We need to get you to come to Metropolis, Illinois, some June for the Superman celebration.
Yeah.
We have had nearly everyone from the Adventures of Superboy, short of Sherman Hemsley and you. So
we need Sherman Hemsley. Okay,
Sherman hasn't shown up, but Sherman, that was a Lex Luthor right there.
Yes,
and you got to work with him in the second season. I think you did the first 2 episodes, the first and second, where Superboy got crippled by Lex, and you were helping him come back from it all. Did you get to work with Sherman very much?
I don't. You remember much better than I do. But I've never been good on names, and this was a while ago, so I've not remembered everybody's name the way I should. But I remember being, again, really impressed with the actor who was playing Luthor. I thought he was really tremendous. Yeah,
Sherman Howard. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you retired from acting, or are you still actively seeking roles?
No, it's funny how things happen, because I guess I'm retired, though I've never thought of doing that, but I guess it's just what happens.
Yeah.
And I do feel I don't feel as ambitious about wanting to be a performer the way I did a while ago. I think the thing that comes to mind in speaking about that is, if I was doing something now, I would come at it from a slightly more knowledgeable place, just with life experience. Every once in a while I think about that, and I think, well, it'd be nice to do something now, because it might feel different. I might be better. I don't know. But I never officially thought of myself as retired, but I've done other things. And I haven't worked as an actor for some time. I don't remember how long it's been myself, but so I suppose whether I want to be or not, I'm probably retired.
Well, you seem very fit and trim. Is that your? Do you still enjoy a dancing regimen? I know Julie Newmar, who has also been to Metropolis, so there's another reason why you need to come.
She
still has that live dancer's body. You seem to have maintained as well.
Well, one of the things over the years, I mean, a day without a dance class, was just not a good day, because taking a dance class made you feel physically and mentally so much better. So I'm kind of addicted to I don't go to dance class anymore, but I do exercise. I go to the gym and I have my own regimen, but yeah, I feel much better physically and mentally when I do move. It's being physically active is important to me, and I've also, my weight has been pretty much steady, so that's always a help. But yeah, I still move, and I think that helps
Yeah,
anybody
keep
feel
moving.
better with time. Yes, yeah.
There was a comment that we didn't get on the screen. Right there, it says Michael Callan was the original Riff on Broadway,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
also played on Superboy. He played a
Okay.
character called
Okay.
Metallo.
Okay. 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 You know, I just now noticed I have not been looking at the screen at those questions. I have to pay attention and look at that. Yeah, I didn't. I got to see Mickey do the show, play Riff in New York when that show first opened, and he was wonderful. He was really handsome, really good looking, and he had a movie career, a very nice one. And But yeah, so he was Superboy as well. Huh? I guess you had lots of people. A lot of people on
Yeah.
Superboy.
Michael J. Pollard did several. I mean, it was
Oh wow!
yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
One of the posts that didn't make it onto the screen from Willow Schuyler. When it's feeding time for my cats, and they all come out of their hiding spots, it reminds me of West Side Story's gang fight.
Well, that's funny.
Now, it must have been something that you felt strongly about, because it was a total departure from show business, but you got into jewelry making.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm still doing that. Yeah, it's been quite a few years now, maybe 20 years or something like that. I'm terrible with time, but it started as a hobby. There's a wonderful school here in Los Angeles called Barnesville, where any people can take classes in sculpting, painting, jewelry making, different things. And I went there and to learn something about jewelry making, and it really grabbed me, I suppose, because I've always had liked having hobbies where I've painted, I've done different things like we all do, but I fell in love with jewelry making, and eventually became, and I really found my way around in the jewelry district here in Los Angeles with time. And also over time, I now have a manufacturer in Thailand as well. So I moved a lot since first starting those classes, but yeah, one of the things that I love about I guess making anything, but specifically right now about jewelry, is because like people on stage, like actors, and we're still doing it for an audience. You know, if you make something, you hope someone's going to like it, and so you create things. Hopefully that other people, it will please other people, and that's one of the things I've always thought about with jewelry. The other thing that's great about jewelry is because it's a physical piece, and there's really great satisfaction once you have made a piece and go through the process of actually making it, that you can actually hold it in your hand, and there's something really nice about having that tactile thing of actually holding an object in your hand that has started from just your mind. Yeah, it's great fun.
I can imagine. And a lot of people will say that's why they prefer tangible books over ebooks, that being able to hold the book, smell the pages, feel the weight in your hands is a much more enjoyable aspect of reading.
Yeah, and I think you feel closer to the author and the subjects as well, just because you're holding it. There's a better connection to the book.
Now you had the George Chakiris collection. Am I correct about that?
Right. Yeah. George. Yeah. Collection. Yeah. That's right. That's what we call it. Yeah.
Where can people go online to look at to view what you've done?
I have a website. It's my name, one word, georgechakiris.com. And that's where people can find my stuff if they so choose. Also, the only other place I have physically sold pieces. There was a wonderful shop in North Hollywood, a great jewelry shop that was selling my pieces for a while. But the other place that is really important is a huge department store in Japan called Mitsukoshi. They sell my things. But selling anything in a store, in a shop, or anything like that, you have a really small audience because it depends on how many people walk in the course of a day, and how many people will actually see something, and maybe even something buy something. So people have much more success in terms of selling things online because you have a much bigger audience, and access to what you're selling it can be quite big.
Right.
Yeah.
We had Kristen ask another question. If you could go back in time, what role would you like to play that either you probably that you either wanted at the time and didn't get, or you look back on now and decide I could have done that?
Well, that's a good, not a particular role, but the kinds of roles that I would be drawn to now if circumstance was there. I like the idea of playing a lawyer or someone who takes care of people. That kind of role appeals to me because that's the way I feel in life. I like
Right.
it when we all take care of each other. So that kind of role, yeah, I think I would love to do. There are other things, of course. It always depends. Roles, no matter what they are, always depend on how well they're written. So the writing is vital to begin with. But again, roles where you can play someone who is taking care of other people. Again, a lawyer or a judge or a doctor or those kinds of human roles are the kinds of things that appeal to me, just as subjects.
Right.
Yeah.
You were, well, you are. I mean, you're right here with us, but you were pretty much in the last years, the last vestiges of what we would think of as old Hollywood, before social media, when we thought every movie star had a mansion, had a limo, had maids, had butlers, because the movies and TV shows, showed us that celebrities had a staff and nannies and mansions and everything. What a lot of social media has shown us is that they are real people who live in just a regular house, drive a 2-year-old car.
Yeah. That's me.
What was the most Hollywood thing that happened to you outside of the Academy Award, obviously?
Well, I guess the most Hollywood thing is over the years being able to meet and work with so many of those people. Vincent Minnelli and his wife Lee Minnelli was a really good friend of mine, and that house. Everybody in the business you want to meet was always in that house in some way. So just being a friend of Vincent's and of Lee's and socializing with them and their friends, my Hollywood experience was amplified because Fred Astaire. I mean, everybody was there.
Wow.
So I was in the right place at the right time in that respect, and also and she was a great friend. Liza's. Her stepmother, Lee Minnelli, was so wonderful with Vincent. She took such great care of him and his legacy and all of that. Again, people who really look after and take care of people and respect people enough to take care of them the way they did. But again, Vincent's house was just, I mean, the world turned up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
We have another great question from Willow Schuyler here on the screen. Your career had you acting and dancing with many great leading ladies. Who would you like to have a chance to work with again if you had the opportunity?
Wow, that's a gosh.
Yeah,
Well,
that's like picking your favorite child, isn't it?
well, I'll tell you what. I never got to dance with those ladies. I danced behind them because I was just a chorus dancer. But God, got to be around Marilyn, of course. Mitzi Gaynor was so much fun to be around and work with. She was funny, she was garish, she was beautiful, and she was great. So someone like Mitzi would be wonderful to work with always. Rosie, of course. Gosh, I could go back to all the stars that I was able to work behind, and think it wouldn't have been nice to have been able to have done more with any of those women. But so, but again, Mitzi and Marilyn. Well, I knew Mitzi. I've known her a little bit over the years, and I consider her not a friend, but I'm friendly with her because I can know. But I didn't know Marilyn Monroe that way at all. But she would have been wonderful too, to work with, because she's such an interesting performer, personality, person, and what she achieved was pretty phenomenal, really. And what she created, she was so creative. So many people, there was a thing on television this past week on Marilyn and Amber Tamblyn, and different people, different women were talking about her and her influence. But and this thing of the blonde, and when she did Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, because Laura Liely was a quote unquote dumb blonde who was not dumb, but she created that character so beautifully that I think a lot of people thought that's who she was.
Yeah.
But as an actress, she created that role so beautifully, and so she's kind of brilliant. So it would have been wonderful to have been able to actually do something concrete with someone like that. Yeah.
Betty White, who we just lost recently, one of her interviews, she was talking about Lucille Ball, because when Betty did her first series, Life with Elizabeth, she produced, and women did not produce at the time. She had women directors, and women did not direct at the time. But she spoke of Lucy in that, first of all, she was beautiful, she was funny, and she was smart. And those are the three things. The ladies you've mentioned, Marilyn, I'm sure, fit those three categories just as well.
I think you're absolutely right. Of course they do, because they couldn't have achieved what they'd achieved if they hadn't had all those qualities. And they had a vision, if you like. They knew what worked and for them, and I got to know, Phyllis Diller was a really good friend. And of course, she and Betty White were really good friends as well. And one of the things, by the way, when you speak of Betty White, one of the things that I love a lot about her was, she worked with the LA Zoo. She was a real animal person. And I love that, because I am too. So, and Phyllis had her 90th birthday. Was not that many people, but it was in somebody's home, and I was there. I'm happy to say, and Betty was there too. So I got to meet Betty a few times that way. But you're right. These women who were smart, talented, and so much more than we give them credit for. But I think now we are getting people credit for those qualities. Anyway, but Betty White. I mean, she was tremendous. Just recently, there's so much that's available to us on television, and the things that I didn't see years ago when they were first there. But one of the things I've been catching up on a little bit is a show called Maude with B. Arthur. And of course, that makes me think of Golden Girls with her and Betty White, and those three women. I guess their paths crossed more than once, but they're and B. Arthur is just so extraordinary. My gosh, yeah.
you mentioning Phyllis Diller, who
Yeah.
is one of my favorite people in the world. I got a chance to work with her during summer stock, met her
Okay.
and her husband at the time, Ward Donovan, I believe.
Okay.
And of course, I was an acting apprentice, and we were supposed to, do not approach the stars. If they come to you and talk, that's fine. But, but when they flew in, their flight arrived late. So they needed somebody to go pick them up because the driver had already come back with the other cast member. So I went to the airport, picked them up. We picked up a reporter that sat in the back seat with Miss Diller. Ward sat in the front seat with me. And this is in Ohio, another Ohio boy.
And she's from Ohio. Phyllis, yeah.
As am I.
Yeah.
you.
As am I.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Gee, we're hoping for great things for George. Ohio boy makes good. But we were coming back from the airport, and this is when you could still do 70, 75 on the interstate. So we're on like a 6 lane, and something happens, like 6 or 8 cars ahead of me, and pileups, flames, everything flying. And God was with me. I don't know. But I'm in all the mirrors. I'm here. And we get through it and keep going. And I'm 20 at the time. And I think, okay, this is where you say, is everybody okay? and Miss Diller from the backseat said, you just saved our lives. And she and Ward just took me in. For the entire time we worked together. I had a book on the great comedians that had a chapter on her. She autographed. She was doing a show called Everybody Loves Opal, which is just classic dinner theater type fare. But she was just so incredible and so very good.
Yeah, Phyllis was, God really loved Phyllis. I used to play Diller's Gin, Deuces Wild, with her quite a lot at her house. She was, her son Perry is still a good friend, and we get together with different friends once in a while. He has the same beautiful laugh that Phyllis has. Her son does. Perry laughs just like Phyllis, but when I go to sleep at night, there's a certain part of the bed I sit on, and there's a corner with some photographs there, my family, so on. I keep a picture of Phyllis there from her 90th birthday. So I say goodnight to her every night too. Sounds corny, but I really, because she was, God, she was so wonderful. She was so great. She was so great. I have beautiful, I have lots of notes that I've saved, I'm glad, from her over the years. And, when my mother passed away, I don't remember the year, but I got a card from Phyllis, and it said, don't do gloom. Now, it sounds like a joke, doesn't it? And it probably was, but it's a good, but I love it. Who else would think of saying that to me? Phyllis. Yeah. Phyllis.
After I mentioned summer stock, and we were already talking about dancers of that era, I'm reminded of Ann Miller. Did you ever get a chance to work with Ann Miller?
No, but I remember some while ago, probably somewhere in the 70s. I'm not. She was. Everybody loved Ann Miller. She was the feeling that you get from her on screen is just exactly who you see when you meet her. I remember I was rehearsing something at one of the dance studios here in town, and Ann Miller was working by herself, and I think that was the time the latest dance craze. I think it was Boogaloo or something like that, and she was working on routines with that kind of music. But she was a real positive, fun force. She was great fun, and I didn't get to know her, but I felt as if I just because of the way she behaved, and she was so friendly to everybody as well. And she's so fantastic on film. She's so fantastic. Yeah.
The week she came in to do summer stock, she came in with Mickey Rooney, and they did. They did.
Sugar Babies.
This was Burlesque, I believe, was the name of it.
Ah,
So,
okay.
so we had a burley cue going on. So I'm seeing, G strings and pasties walking around backstage. I'm going, why did this leave? Why don't we still have this? This is wonderful. Let's bring burlesque back. Let's bring vaudeville back. Let's
sure. Yeah. What a great idea. Yes. I think if somebody actually made that happen, you would have an audience for sure.
No. Yeah. Kristen again says something. Anne lied about her age and was only 14 in her first film. So
she was younger than she said she was older, right? Is that it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have a favorite number on West? I'm sorry, now I'm paying attention to the screen. Yes, I did have a favorite number that I was involved in. The America number. I like to be in America with Rita and the girls and the guys. We had such a great time. It was a beautifully choreographed number, choreographed by Jerome Robbins, of course, directed by him and Bob Wise. But we loved what we were doing so much, and we had such fun doing it as well. We used to break each other and laugh between shots. So the American number was great fun because of the spirit of that number and how we all felt about each other at the same time. But by the way, I think in the 1961 version of West Side Story, I think one of the really, really great numbers is Cool. And it gets noticed less because it's a different kind of number, because the American number is fun and competitive and bright and everything. Cool is dark, but Cool is an incredible number as well. So that would be my second favorite number. Yeah.
Well, before we run out of time, I wanted to mention again. So we got the early arrivers. We might be getting some late arrivers that didn't hear about your book, My West Side Story.
Uh-huh.
Just to entice people, what would be one of your favorite stories from that book that would lead us to the Amazon site?
Well, one of my favorite stories is the way I got involved in West Side Story to begin with. And that's when work was drying up for our dancers in Los Angeles. So in 1958, I bought a one-way ticket to New York. Some friends put me up on the couch in their living room, so I had a place to stay. And that's when I first auditioned for Jerry, a few auditions. But on my birthday, September 16, 1958, I got a call from Ruth Mitchell, who was the stage manager, telling me that I had the role of Riff in the London company. And on the same day, I had 7 checks from my California unemployment, $35 each. So that was a great birthday. Yeah.
And it still amazes me that people, Terry Hatcher, who was getting back to Superman again, Terry Hatcher, who was on Lois and Clark, after that series ended and she did a couple of movies, suddenly she was having trouble finding work. She was doing some Radio Shack commercials. I believe in her book, she said when she got hired, when she found out she got the job for Desperate Housewives, she was down to like $8 in her bank account. And people don't realize that you guys aren't wealthy. You're not rolling in cash.
And the
job that you work.
And work is not a steady thing. There can be long gaps between engagements where you're not making money at all. So, but that's just the nature of the business. And I think I think most people now, a lot of people in the business like to get onto a film that has a franchise, so that there's another way of making money and an ongoing thing with the particular. But acting is not a reliable professional, really, because you depend on so many other things. And again, you don't working 365 days a year. You know, you might work a month or two if you're lucky, or maybe five. But so it's uneven, and therefore it's never to be taken for granted. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't impress me as a man that has any regrets in life, but that's the only word I can use in this question.
Yeah.
Was there a role you tried out for that you didn't get, or a role that you were offered and turned down that you had some regrets over?
You know, no. Well, if I thought, the thing that I regret about myself is that I didn't have the professional, the awareness of what a career was. I didn't think that way. I still don't. So I didn't know how to create opportunities and search for things as well. And so there was not a role that I wanted to do that I didn't get to do, because I was lucky. Things came my way, so I never had to struggle that way particularly, and that really was lucky. You know, that's another thing. We all have to get lucky in to some measure. All of us, no matter what we do. So luck is a big factor, but I guess I'm taking. Now trying to answer that question, I think the thing that I wish I had done, because it would have been such an incredible acting experience, and that is to do more theater, more serious theater, and I suppose Shakespeare in particular, because I think that's an experience and a training ground that you can only get by doing that kind of material. And I think it expands what you're able to do in other roles as well. That kind of experience is worth its weight in gold. So and I've spent a lot of time in London over the years. London was like a second home. So I got very familiar with the English acting community, and people who were, just because they were born, were involved in that kind of theater. In this country, we're not especially that involved with that kind of theater in this part of the world,
Right.
Maybe on the East Coast. But so more than a role that I wish I'd gotten to do, I wish I'd been involved more and in working on those kinds of roles.
I don't remember very much comedic work that you've done.
Yeah.
Did you have a desire to do comedy?
Well, no, I didn't, because again, I didn't think of that either. But you know, what is that sentence? Drama is easy, comedy is hard.
Right.
And it's right. It's true. Because I think people have a natural gift, so to speak, for comedy. Everybody has a sense of humor, but as a performer, it's a different kind of challenge. And some people instinctively are just really good at comedy, and because I really think it's not something you can learn, but in later years, I remember. I can't remember what it is now, but I read for something that I didn't get, something on television some while ago, and I remember it was funny. I don't remember how I got funny, but because I made them laugh, and I remember how nice that felt to make somebody laugh, But I think I probably would have been through the same kind of learning hurdle to be able to understand and deal with comedy as anybody else, because it's really special to be able to work with deal with that kind of material.
Right. And comedy on stage has to be one of the hardest things. When you're a musician, you can feel the feedback. When you're doing drama, you can feel the feedback. But if you're doing comedy and they don't laugh,
oh yes, yeah,
that's got to be killer.
Yeah, because it's not working. Absolutely. I just realized, some years ago I saw Maggie Smith in a play in New York, a two-hander called Lettuce and Lovage, and oh my God, she's so tremendous.
She's
so
phenomenal.
Wow, but funny.
Yeah.
God, so great. but I think it's natural to her. I think she was born with that instinct. and she's used it beautifully, but I think she has it naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't have to work on it.
Well,
Sorry.
she actually showed up on several episodes of the Carol Burnett show, so she was doing comedy in front of a live audience,
Yeah,
which is a totally different
yeah.
thing altogether.
Well, I think
I've been watching some of the comments scroll by. I just bought your book, so we're
okay. Well, we sold one.
hey. Well, I guess we've run out of time. We've run over a little bit, but before we go, I do want to invite you one more time to the Superman Celebration, Metropolis Superman Celebration, Metropolis, Illinois. Every June, it's not a convention. It is more like a family reunion. Everything's free. People come and listen to you talk. You sign autographs. Of course, you sell. You can bring your book, bring your pictures, bring the cast album from West Side Story. Bring it all. Just we just want to embrace you and bring you into the group, into the family.
Well, that sounds great. I'd love to be at something like that. That would be a ball. Absolutely. How would I know about that?
Well, I'm sure Kristen will come in. We've got Kelly will probably say something to you. Let's those of you behind the scenes. There she is. There's Kelly.
Hello. I'm jumping in. Yeah, well, we'll have to pass your name along to the chamber. I should be clear, we have no official connection to the chamber.
Yeah.
In Metropolis. We'll pass your name
we're just big fans.
Well,
we would love to see you in Metropolis. I agree.
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, it sounds wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. I've been really enjoying this interview. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Willow says the same thing.
It's been an honor. It's been an honor.
I'm just now seeing these things at the bottom of the screen. I've been looking at you and not seeing those. Sorry.
No
yeah. But thank you for spending time with me as well. It's so much fun to talk to people because I feel like we have the same interests, and so we can talk to each other. It's great. Yeah.
Well, we love you. We hope you stay safe.
Okay. Yeah. You too. Stay safe. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So, George, again, where can people find you?
Harlan Ball or my website. Those two ways, really. Yeah.
Excellent. And Doug, where can people find you?
Well, Facebook, Monkey Mania Radio, live365.com. We're all over the place. I've got a 2-hour Monkeys radio show weekdays. I'm a first generation fan. So Monday through Friday, I've got 2 hours of monkey music and stories and whatnot.
Yeah.
And George, your website is georgechakiris.com, right?
That's right. Yeah. Thank you. It is. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure to share that on the Multiverse Fundraiser page also.
Thank you.
Because I think a lot of people are going to want to look you up.
Thanks. I don't do Facebook or any of that. Yeah. I'm lazy with social media, so I forget. Yeah.
And Keisha is saying we would love to have you again in the future. So our channel does regular, we do weekly shows too. So yes, you should definitely come back. We would love to have you.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This has been a joy. I'm going to drop you both out and close out the night. Thank you for coming back, George. Thank you for rescheduling after the tech snafu. We really appreciate it.
Good.
Really appreciate it. Doug, thank you as well.
Thank you. It was my honor.
My honor.
See ya.
Thank you guys.
And everyone, thank you for joining us for the first night of the Multiverse Fundraiser. We have 2 more action-packed, fun-filled days. And please donate. This is for a really great cause. We've been talking about how much we love Valerie, how amazing her life has been, how much she has created in her lifetime. And we just want to take care of this woman who has given us so much art and entertainment to enjoy. So here's a video about how you can help her. The Multiverse Fundraiser is a benefit for Oscar-nominated actress Valerie Perrine. Ms. Bryan is known for her roles in Superman, Slaughterhouse-Five, Lenny, and so many more. We've teamed up with documentary director Stacey Souther to raise money for Valerie's medical expenses and other needs. Every donation and every post share gives you the chance to win super prizes. Go to the website listed for details.